Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Wohlberg, your podcast performance coach, with another actionable tip so you can grow your podcast authority, generate leads, and convert with ease. Today's tip is, story time isn't just for kids. There are only a few things that we do that our caveman ancestors also did. And there's one important caveman activity that you should be doing in your podcast. No, it's not dragging your listener back to the cave by their hair. What's that? Don't wear pants. Okay. Yeah, there are two things like cavemen. Embrace the freedom of going pantless when you podcast, but more importantly, tell stories. Why? Because in the vast sea of podcasts, what sets you apart? It's not about the information. It's about the connection you build with your audience. And stories are a fantastic way to do that. There is a reason that we have hung on to this ancient tradition, and that's because telling stories is a key way to engage and entertain as well as teach an audience. Isn't that what we're trying to do here? In fact, there's a whole bunch of science behind the power of storytelling to deepen connections and make you more memorable. I talked about this in episode 107, so pop back in the library and give that a listen. Also have the links in the show notes for you. And while you're digging around in the back library, you might want to dust off episode 108, where I talk about the different types of stories that you can use. In this episode, it's all about unleashing the power of classic storytelling. No more monotone facts. We want your audience sitting on the edge of their seats, eagerly awaiting your next syllable. Luckily, we don't have to reinvent the wheel because classic story structures still work the best. It has 5 parts. Number 1, start your story by setting the stage. Take your listener to the scene of the story. Paint a picture of where it all happened and what the vibe was all about. Create an atmosphere that sets the tone of your story and has your listener instantly invested in hearing more. Are you inside, outside? What's the weather like? Part number 2 includes the characters and connection. For a story to be effective, your listener has to care about the main characters. One of them may be you, but if there are others, tell us about them so we feel connected to them too. Here's a tip. Mention something that the character and the audience might have in common to help build that instant connection. This will help them see themselves as part of the journey. Part number 3 is all about tension, baby. Something is happening in this place to this person you just described. What is the conflict? Why are we hearing about this person? What has them setting out on a journey? Which brings us to part number 4, the crux of the story. This is the turning point, the climax, the aha moment. This is the sweet spot of the story. Tell your listener how the main character went from being in conflict or having a problem to turning the corner and seeing a resolution. And that would be the 5th and final part, the resolution, the happy ending, or if it wasn't a happy ending, the moral of the story or the lesson. This is where you reveal the reason behind the story and connect it to you, your business, or your offer, or something to do with what you do. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Caveman Carl. This was a lonely dude, sitting in his cave all day long with nobody looking his way. Nobody paid attention to him. You see, Carl was a bit weak with the spear. He was balding, a little scruffy beard, real shabby like. He once wet himself when he came face to face with a deer, and if we're being honest, look, he smelt a bit rank. So not a lot of people paid any attention to Carl. But Carl was determined. He decided to try to win some friends at the campfire one night by telling a story. So he practiced the story, and when it was his turn, he jumped up and started acting out each scene of his story. He raised his voice, and he got real quiet. And then he roared like a lion. Then he banged rocks together for sound effects. He lunged at the crowd, and they leaned back. They gasped, and frankly, when he was done, they sat stunned. No caveman had ever told a story like that before. After that, Caveman Carl instantly became memorable. Now, I know as a podcaster, you're not jumping around a fire, knocking rocks together and telling a story, but you do have a direct line into your listeners' earballs. So get intimate by using this simple storytelling outline. The setting, where are we? The characters, who's in the story, and use dialogue when you can. The conflict, something happens, right? The climax, what's the turning point? And the resolution, what's the takeaway lesson? Now, this is pretty simple to do, but you need to sell it. Develop your own storytelling style. Use the power of silence. Lean in, then back away. Mix up the pacing, add your own flair, and make your story memorable. Be like Caveman Carl. Injecting dynamic stories into your podcast keeps your listeners engaged, helps them relate, and make your ideas come to life. And I hope that's just the tip you need. For more storytelling episodes, including how to pull great stories from your guests, check out the show notes for the episode links and to book your free podcast coaching call. You can do that at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Wohlberg. See ya!